Hello there everybody, so Fata Morgana, and welcome back to the house in Fata Morgana. Now then, last episode I kind of destroyed my throat, and don't worry, I'm not going to be doing that voice for Yukimasa anymore. I've got a better voice that's a lot easier on my throat. Why the hell was I going with that? I sound like I smoked like 30 Marlboros in the fucking matter of an hour. But anyway, let's begin in pursuit of the truth. Well, I believe we're supposed to be meeting up with Maria. And then we have ourselves a little dinner plan with the Lord. Oh, there you are. Thank God you came. Sneaking onto church grounds is a bit unnerving, so if you... are you alright? You look like you just came back from the dead. I'm fine. Thank you for coming. Now, to continue our conversation from yesterday. Whoa, slow down. Who do you think you're convincing? You look about as fine as a fucking corpse. If you're not feeling well, we can always do this some other time. And, whoa, what happened to your hand? It's a minor injury. Nothing of any significance. Seriously? Who do you think you're convincing, man? I can get around just fine without a few fingers. You gotta take yourself into consideration, too. You can only run on raw determination for so long. And imagine how it makes me feel for a second, you asking to talk and showing up looking like that. If you want to get anything done, you've got to take care of yourself first. Head on back to your room and rest. Let's just do this some other day, okay? When you're feeling... I don't have that kind of time. Noon tomorrow. That's my deadline. I have to take care of everything before then. I know damn well what condition I'm in, but that doesn't change what I need to do. If I don't, I can't save Morgana. I can't get Giselle back. That makes it all the more important you get your rest. And when do you suggest I do that exactly? Honestly, I don't get why you're in such a damn tizzy. Get a hold of yourself, man. I am plenty calm. It sure don't look it. You're already pushing yourself to the edge. I don't want to be as responsible for giving you that last nudge. So quit bickering with me, get your ass back, and get some rest. You don't understand the gravity of the situation. None of you do. You don't grasp how great an effect stopping what happens tomorrow will have. I have to keep moving, even if it means crawling through the dirt. If I don't, not only will I fail to make things better, Morgana's almost certainly got an even worse fate stores in for all of you, as long as her curse lives on. I'm the only one here who knows what awaits. So that makes you, what, a prophet or something then? Not exactly, no. But in terms of this time period, that would be the most apt description. Do you not believe me? Well, you know, that is asking a lot. That's fine. You don't have to. But at the very least, I want you to believe that I genuinely believe something terrible is going to happen tomorrow if I don't do something. That I think I don't have time to waste. All I need you to do is tell me what you know. Could you do that for me? I think there was a bit of a graphical text, or I think there was a bit of a mix here. No, okay, never mind. I thought that there was something. I thought it was a glitch, but I guess not. Assuming you actually are a prophet or whatever, why don't you just, you know, get the hell out of town? Say, fuck it, this is too much, and just vanish into the night. No one's gonna blame you if you do. Hell, is anyone even gonna notice you did anything if you do succeed? I'm not in this for attention or praise. I cannot sit idly by knowing what I know. Seeing what has happened, and what will. Knowing what Morgana went through, what she felt. I can't abandon her. Not anymore. I can't let my knowledge go to waste.
While it is true that the mansion will continue to be wrapped in darkness so long as Morgana's curse remains in effect, and nothing can be put to rest until I do something about that. That's not my sole motivation anymore. I sincerely want to help Morgana. Giselle, is this what you meant when you told me you wanted me to save her?
You seem like the kind of fellow who's always fretting about something or other. You don't know how to take it easy, do you? Though I guess, in a way, that's kind of why you can fight so hard, huh? Alright, you win. I'll talk. Anything you want to know, I'll tell you.
Thank you very much.
But? You sit your butt down first.
Okay.
Morgana said that?
She did. She described her 3 years there as one of the brightest periods of her life.
Who'd have thought? Damn, that's kinda... really great to hear.
Did she never tell you herself how she felt?
She never really made much of an attempt to be part of the group. It was like she had these colossal walls around her.
I can see that.
Yeah, so I always kinda felt like I never knew if I was sticking my nose in too far or not, you know?
She appreciated what you and the other women did for her. After the raid 4 years ago, she ended up in the hands of a slave trader. As she was being transported, she said this, with tears in her eyes. I'm sad because I didn't get the chance to show my gratitude to people very dear to me.
Well, damn. So is that, you know, absolutely 100% exactly what she said? You're not just pulling it out of your ass, are you?
Those were her exact words, yes. As hard as it may be to believe.
Nah, I believe you. I'm just surprised is all. I mean, just, wow, yeah. If I'd known that was how she felt, maybe I could have been a little friendlier with her.
You weren't friendly with her?
Not especially. I mean, that's not to say I was cold or anything. It's just that all the girls kept a bit of distance from her. Not because we didn't like her, but because that's what it looked like she wanted. Some distance. None of us were really cut out for the caretaker gig. As much as we'd have loved to be some kind of mother figure for her, we just didn't have it in us.
Who was closest to her?
He's dead.
The slave.
Huh? What's this about a slave?
There was a young man. A slave who participated in the revolt at the Lord's Manor, who saved Morgana's life.
Ah, yeah, that's the guy. He was the closest of any of us to her, or at least, he gave her the most attention.
And he's...
6 feet under.
That's unfortunate.
What can you do? People come and go. That's just the way of things.
I'd thought that maybe if he were still alive, that would improve our chances of saving Morgana.
Improve our chances? There's only one way about it. We smash the Lord's fucking skull in and take his key.
That's not an option. Doing that will not alleviate her hatred. Would you be willing to accompany us when we go into the observation tower?
Huh? Me? Why?
I want you to be there to say something to her.
I'll say whatever you want me to say once you've gotten her out of the tower.
Don't you think being able to hear the voice of someone she cares for when she's finally set free would do more to pull her out of the darkness than anything else?
That's all the more reason it can't be me.
Why not?
Like I've been saying, I was never that tight with her. I kept my distance. I can't do anything, not with the reasons you've given me for why she's still full of hatred.
I have no other options, though.
You know, actually, well, I doubt this'll do much in the way of getting rid of her grudge. There is something I was supposed to give her, but never got the chance.
Oh?
It's nothing special, just a rinky-dink little necklace. But if you get the chance, would you mind giving it to her?
If anyone, that should come from you.
It's not from me. It was It was supposed to be from the slave. He got it for her as a birthday present, but that was the day the brothel got raided. Oh, God! On her fucking birthday. So yeah, that's the story. Make sure she gets it, would you?
Okay, I will.
Thanks, man. Well, now that that's out of the way, I should split. Best of...
Who's talking?
Oh! You were in your room. I was worried sick.
What are you two doing here?
You're going to talk to the Lord tonight, right? So... there's a chance you might be able to set the Saintess free. No way am I gonna miss that.
That's why you're here?
That, and to say goodbye. I want for them to make reparations as soon as the girl's released.
And do you feel the same way, Nellie?
If Mel tells me he wants to, then I won't stop him. But he was threatened, so if it's possible, I don't think there's any need for him to rush to be punished. I don't want to lose my brother. Surely there are other ways he can atone. That's reasonable. I do feel guilty about what he was put through. It's not your fault for what he did. Anyway, I'm really anxious about tonight, but I'm sure it'll turn out fine. You'll make it work, won't you, dearest Michelle?
I'll do my best.
Oh, come on, you gotta act confident. Take care of my Mel for me, too. He's very fragile, so handle him with care. Like a big old box of china.
Is he really that fragile?
As for me, if he looks like he's going to do anything he shouldn't, would you stop him for me? I wish I could be there to do it myself, but, well, if he insists only the people directly involved should be there, and I want to respect that, that's fine, that's fine.
I was never going to allow anyone to get hurt anyway.
That's good. Thank you. He and the Lord may have caused the girl a great deal of pain, but I still don't want anyone to get hurt. Some people deserve it, and I say let them have it. Now, Maria, don't be like that. You're the weird one, Little Miss Perfect. Going around letting everyone off the hook for everything, and the whole damn world's gonna come falling down around you. Oh, go around, sorry. He did what he did for me, though. And the Lord? He's only in it for his own profit. Well, speaking devil's advocate, another one of his, one of the things that I remember about Jacopo from his tale was that a large amount of what he did, while it was very fucking questionable and not really morally the smartest thing to do, which I think had something to do with, like, improving the economy, basically. I'm me just speaking devil's advocate here. Much as he says it benefits the city, it still comes back around to his own pockets. Also a fair point. That Lord's not a bad man, though. Yeah, I've heard it 1,000 times. No one's a bad person in your eyes, I know.
Now, can we please try to keep things civil?
Yeah, sorry. Bad habit, I know. I talk a lot of rot, but I really don't mean half of it. I do think he's much better than the old Lord, though.
What? Old Lord? Hold on a second. What did you just say?
He's better than the old...
When did the current Lord take his place?
4 years ago?
What? Morgana was 9 years old when she was at the Lord's manor. 7 years ago. Maria, were you ever at the Lord's manor at any time 7 years ago?
Nah, I was never had by anyone there.
Then when... She didn't have any interaction with the Lord 7 years ago. Ah, now it all makes sense. How did I not consider this possibility sooner? I know what kind of man he is, and I know the people he had around him. Maria, is the slave actually dead? Oh! No!
Let me guess. You'd better have a damn good reason for this. Oh, updated! Except this time I got Mel and Yukimasa on my side. I came because you said you had something important to discuss. Now care to tell me who the hell this white-haired man is and what he's doing here? You neglected to mention we'd be having company.
I'm the one who asked him to arrange this meeting with you.
And who the hell would you be? Okay.
He's an angel.
Or a prophet. What? Did you both finally snap under the pressure?
I'll leave it for you to decide what you think I am. I will say, though, that I know everything. I know you've got a girl imprisoned in the observation tower, and I know you're taking her blood and calling it medicine, passing it out at the church.
Which one of you squealed?
No one told him anything. He just knew.
He knows everything, including my deepest desires and what happens in my next life. He's probably peering into your soul this very moment.
You've completely lost it, I see. Well, how you got your information doesn't matter. All I need to know is this. What are you hoping to gain from it? Wealth? My downfall? What?
Morgana's freedom. I want you to give me your key, and then I want you to tell me your story. I've come here from the future, from the world after Morgana's death. Her soul courses with hatred for the three of you, and she's placed a curse of eternal suffering on your souls.
Has everyone at this damn table gone mad? Did you seriously think I would believe that nonsense?
Don't interrupt me. My objective is not so much to rescue Morgana's physical body from the tower, but to save her soul from an eternity of loathing. I can't achieve that on my own, however. Because I am not from this time, I have had no direct interaction with her or anyone else here until just recently. In order to make her have a change of heart, I need to gather the truth from the people who are from this time. And I suspect that you hold the last piece of the puzzle. The biggest piece. That you have a far deeper connection with Morgana than anyone else here. No. I'm all but certain of it now. Your perspective is crucial to accomplishing my goal. Tell me your whole story, please. How you ended up capturing and imprisoning Morgana. What you thought and felt along the way. Your truth will get through to her. I know it. That will be the turning point in all this. Her curse will be no more. And you will be returned to the paths you were meant to walk. Everyone will have their salvation.
Someone throw this madman out!
I won't do it.
Neither will I. Damned worthless curs! I'll call the guards, then. Who do you think I am, exactly? I am the lord of this land. Are you? Under ordinary circumstances, I'd never so much as deign to speak with you, lowly peasant. Now get out of my sight, or I'll take it as an act of aggression and you'll find yourself without a head.
In this room right now, you're not a lord. You're a lone man.
Until you hand over your key, we're not letting you leave. And you'll find there aren't any guards for you to call. You're all alone on this estate.
Your preoccupation with staying out of sight played right into our hands. Accept your defeat, Lord. We've already agreed to set the witch free.
Cowardly worms. Ironic coming from you. I didn't think you'd turn coat quite so eagerly. The nun and your kid sister in on it too, I take it.
We were only working for you. We've never felt any sort of allegiance to you.
Loyalty founded on what one has to gain or lose is far more resilient than uncertain, fluctuating feelings. But it would appear that this white-haired man shattered that foundation. How long have you been colluding with them, cur?
I arrived in this era 2 days ago.
What? 2 days? In just 2 days you get these worms dancing for you?
They are not dancing for me. I merely spoke with them, and they listened.
You're a disturbed man. You couldn't possibly have won these two over in a mere 2 days.
He's no ordinary man. As we've said, he knew everything. While I was talking to him, it felt like he was looking directly into my soul.
He's definitely an unusual one, yeah. It felt like he's known me my whole life, even though he just showed up out of nowhere 2 days ago. I didn't believe what he was saying at first, but he knew things he couldn't possibly know. My secret wish, something I've never told anyone before.
I don't know what kind of tricks you're playing, but now I know why I've never seen you around. If you'd been lurking around the city for longer, sticking your nose where it didn't belong, I would have taken notice sooner or later. Ha! I'm impressed! In only 2 days, you managed to convince them both to betray me and set me up. I am indeed the one in charge of this operation, so if it's the witch you're after, I'm the obvious target, yes? And the 2 dogs there surely have some pent-up rage, so I take it you're going to tie me up, then torture me until I tell you what you want to know. No, not really.
That's not a bad idea. What do you say? Give me the word and he's in ropes.
No, it's okay. It's okay, dude. It's okay. Oh, wait. We agreed we weren't getting rough.
I have no interest in solving this problem with violence. We were here to uncover the truth. We needn't exchange blows, only words.
Anyway, if we're going to beat it out of him, we would have done it so as soon as he walked through the door. We discussed this beforehand. We're only talking. No one's getting into any fights. Physically or verbally.
That's right.
Well, it looks like I've got no way out, so you've got me. I surrender. Take my key. Go open the tower doors.
What? That was easier than expected.
Your key is not important right now. Your perspective is what I seek. Why did you make it so the lock required 3 keys? Only one person is more than adequate for the job. So why split it into 3 ways?
Is that any of your concern, Kerr?
Was it because it was too much weight to bear alone? You didn't actually want to imprison Morgana, did you? Something, somewhere went wrong. You backed yourself into a corner and couldn't escape.
I'm done listening to you.
Am I right or am I wrong, Lord? Or should I say, Jacopo?
Jacopo? But isn't his name? Jean-Francois Bonnier?
That's Lord Bonnier to you, you insolent child. You seem to be a bit confused. I am the son of the House of Bonnier, which means I'm royalty.
No, you are not. I don't know how you came to start calling yourself Bonnier, but there's not a drop of royal blood flowing through your veins. The Slave Revolt at the Lord's Manor 7 years ago. You were there, weren't you? During the revolt, you helped Morgana escape. That's right. You saved her life once. That was you. You were the slave from 7 years ago! Slave?
Are you out of your goddamned mind? Me, a slave? Like hell a former slave could become royalty.
You did it, though. You went from slave to lord.
Enough. I don't know who's filling that white-haired head of yours with this drivel, but I'm done listening to it. Say another word and I'll throttle you myself. Keep slandering my name, I dare you.
Maria told me the slave from back then was dead. She didn't mean it literally, though. She meant he wasn't who he used to be anymore.
Maria, you've been talking to her too?
Ah, a slave who got... Okay, I see. He got corrupted by the power of the wealth. Basically, a homeless man suddenly given $1 million, essentially.
Because she was afraid if Morgana found out, it would only serve to throw her deeper into despair. The man who had once saved her was now responsible for keeping her imprisoned.
Do your ears not work, Kerr? I said I've had enough.
I need your perspective! There's more to the story, I'm certain of it! I refuse to believe you acted only for your own benefit, only to cause her pain.
If you want the key so damned badly, then take it! Set the witch free, I don't give a damn! But if you say another word, I'll rip your fucking tongue out!
Again, the key is not what I need right now. I need your story.
Are you deaf or just an imbecile?
Your perspective is crucial to saving Morgana's soul!
Enough.
When you were a slave, you helped Morgana escape from the Lord.
Silence.
And you spent the next 3 years with her.
Just one more fucking word, I swear to God.
So, how did you end up here? How did the boy from 7 years ago go from saving her to locking her up and stealing her blood? There's no excusing your actions, no. But please, I need you to tell me how you got to this point.
Enough! Michelle!
The next thing I see is a dagger in his hand pointed at me. I reflexively tried to push myself out of the path of his charge with my dominant hand, which sends a jolt of excruciating pain up my right arm.
I'll rip your fucking head off!
The Lord swings his arm up, and the necklace spews from my pocket, making a metallic clink as it hits the floor. When he sees it, his eyes go wide for a brief moment. Of course, I'm just as slack-jawed as him.
What the hell is going on?
Why? How? Why am I looking at a familiar cloud of inky black darkness? There's no one to answer my question, though. And no time to think about it either. I have to make a decision right now.
I'm falling for it this time!
The Lord, dagger raised, is quickly approaching. Off to the side, the cloud of darkness is expanding.
Reach into the darkness.
I reach my hand into the darkness spreading from the necklace, and as soon as I do...
What the hell is this? What's that black stuff?
The blackness swirls, consuming us all.
Let me guess, did I fuck up again? No, stop! What is this? Don't make me... Watch this!
His shouts fade into the distance, and my mind and body are swallowed up entirely. It's the same thing that happens whenever Giselle and I open a door. The same darkness I've gazed into again and again and again and again in that cursed mansion. The house that exists outside reality. Far, far off into the distance, I can see a gentle light like a hole ripped out of the darkness. Green grass and colorful flowers rustling in the wind. I don't understand. The darkness. It was never present in the past. It was, I thought, a phenomena restricted to the realm of the dead. So what is it doing here? But even my questions are in short order swallowed up by the void. Soon my body ceases to retain its form, leaving only my consciousness to view the sights, sounds, and emotions of someone's past. I become an observer, as I have many times before.
Oh! I guess this time I actually made the right decision. Maybe.
I'm staring into a pair of ruby red eyes open wide with shock. I recall snapping at him, insulting him, but I don't remember what I said. Nor do I remember how he responded. All I know is that a wave of churning blackness appeared out of nowhere, washing me away. I'm powerless, helpless, hopeless. My young mind... What the hell? My young mind sucked into it like a whirlpool.
Young? My young mind? Oh, for Christ's sake, you have got to be kidding me. Why? For the love of God, why? Am I being made to look back at this part of... Oh. Why, for the love of God, why am I being made to look back at this part of my life? The miserable, stooping, fucking romantic I once was. Why am I turning back into the boy I tried so hard to forget? Where does this absurd black smoke come from, and why can't I get out of it? If
that white-haired man's who's doing this to me, then he's not an angel or a prophet. He's the goddamn devil himself. But all my questions, my confusion, my frustration, everything that composes my present, is superseded by the darkness, wisping away into nothing. So he's being forced to... Oh! He's being forced to recall it. So we're basically... He's not really, you know, talking about... He didn't want to talk about it, but he's being forced to. Okay. So wait a minute. The house is... Huh. To be blunt, the world's a small place. There's an unimaginable amount of of it out there, but you only ever get to see a minuscule fraction of that. Fuck it. A minuscule fraction of that. And that goes down doubly for us, for us. The poor barely get the chance to see any of it at all. And those who are born into affluence, well, they have no idea just how small our world really is. I never yearned for the world outside what I knew. I more coveted it, a splash of spite mixed in. I wanted to claw my way up the mountain, knock all the bastards down who had never seen what it was like at the bottom. If I made it high enough, I could do anything. I would have complete freedom. If that sounds like a childish fantasy to you, well, you'd be right. That's exactly what it was. There you are. You spend so much time in the graveyard that one of these days someone's going to think you're a gravekeeper, or maybe a grave robber. I can understand a gravekeeper, but I take offense at the suggestion that I look like a grave robber. I'm praying for the souls who have no one to see them off. Oh. Oh! The girl named Morgana turned around to face me. Though I'd known her for some time, I rarely ever looked her in the eyes. Her face was almost always concealed beneath the dark hood, revealing only the tip of her nose and sometimes her lips. Honestly, I don't get it. Why do you care so much?
These are the souls that have no one else to pray for them. At best, they may get a bit of lip service from a priest once or twice. It's our responsibility to offer a helping hand to the sick and the poor. To pray for the abandoned souls.
What I don't get is why you need to pray for the dead at all. They're just bags of bones.
I hope you enjoy an eternity in hell, blasphemer.
Hey! That was uncalled for!
I'm just joking, obviously.
You take black humor to a new level.
Morgana gave me a curt shrug, then turned away. She never faced anyone head-on for very long, and she had a perfectly good reason for it. It wasn't because she disliked me or anything. I don't think, anyway. About 3 years earlier, something had happened that had caused large patches of flesh to fall off her face. Supposedly, she had looked fine before then, but I only knew her as she was at the time. The rest of her body was covered in wounds as well, but applying ointment to them had reduced the scarring significantly. Her face, though, showed no signs of recovering. A close friend of mine, a prostitute, said she thought it might be a psychological thing, but regardless, I continued applying the ointment to Morgana's face.
Oh. Hey, come on, don't turn away from me. I know you can hear me. I brought ointment, so let me put it on you.
It's a waste of time.
You don't know that. Your arms look much better than before. It won't be long before your face starts healing too.
The ointment isn't free. You're wasting your money.
It's my money. I can use it however I please. So just shut up and let me do this.
You're a very obnoxious man, you know.
What was that? You want me to rub it in real hard, huh?
Fine.
With a forlorn graveyard as their backdrop, a young man applied salve to a girl's raw, exposed flesh. It was quite possibly the least romantic sight in the world. I would have, at the very least, preferred a somewhat more pleasant location. As the thought fluttered through my mind, I let out a defeated laugh, and I could soon feel her glaring at me. Morgana could be a bit standoffish, but honestly, I didn't mind. For her, this was actually quite sociable, in fact. When I first met her, she didn't act her age at all, but now she was starting to show signs of the 12-year-old girl hidden inside. 3 years prior, when I met Morgana, she had been the victim of unspeakable abuse at the hands of the Lord. I didn't know why he had done those things to her, and I didn't ask either, because I knew doing so would only reopen old wounds. All I knew was that the Lord was so far gone as a human being as to brutally torture a 9-year-old girl. At the time, the only thing that ever seemed to come out of her mouth was the word of God. Everything she said or did was ostensibly for the benefit of others.
but it felt to me more like she was acting out of some sort of sense of duty rather than genuine concern. Honorable, but ultimately hollow. I much, much preferred this Morgana, even if she could be a bit jaded.
What are you hoping to get out of repairing my face?
I'm not trying to get anything, I just want to you to heal up.
And here I thought you were going to try and make me work at the brothel.
How many times do I have to tell you I'm not going to make you be a prostitute?
What other reason could you have for wanting my face to get better?
Because I want to see it.
Isn't that enough?
Just so we're clear, that wasn't me hitting on you, okay?
The thought never occurred to me.
She fell quiet, sitting there motionless as I rubbed ointment into her face. Interesting. Wait a minute, that does explain the what. I think I might have finally got this figured out. If Morgana was actually the white-haired girl, why does she have the white-haired, aesthetic? I'm guessing specifically to mess with Giselle? Or maybe she was jealous of Michelle's appearance, possibly. And she chose to emulate it, I guess. Or is that too much? I don't know. Her skin beneath my thumb was rough and unpleasant to the touch, and honestly rather stomach-turning. It was hard to imagine her face would ever heal. But wait a minute, then why would she put herself through all that torture, though? What I'd said about wanting to see her face was true, but what I wanted more than anything was for her to be able to live a relatively normal life.
I hope you're prepared to be let down if I ever do heal.
That possibility is just part of the fun.
You have as much as tact as a worm.
No tact and bad taste. I'm a real winner.
It's a wonder no one throttles you in your sleep.
Being a guy, oh fuck. Of course I would have been pleased if she turned out pretty with her face healed. But her life was guaranteed to be easier than now, no matter what she looked like. That was what really mattered, ultimately. I can only imagine how hard it was to have your life turned completely upside down at the age of 9. A large portion of us in the slums had our share of misfortune, but hardly any of them stacked up to what Morgana had to bear. She had no parents. When I'd asked about her mother, she'd gotten cagey with me, so I assumed she'd been sold off. When I asked about her father, though, she just pointed up at the sky, which I took to mean he was dead. A young girl, no family, sent off all on her own to some strange land, somewhere along the line ending up in the Lord's cruel grasp. Misfortune felt like an understatement, if anything. That said, it wasn't just out of pity that I gave Morgana so much of my attention. The other reason, though, well, she'd probably go running if I told her. Hell, I wanted to hit myself over the head. I'll still be your friend, even if you turn out to be the ugliest girl in the city. You should be grateful.
How is it you haven't managed to chase off everyone in your life yet?
I act like a decent guy around other people. Do my best to fit in.
Then why are you such a dolt around me?
Just doing my best to fit in.
So you're saying this is my fault?
Everyone could use a thorn or two. Makes them more exciting. You especially. Okay, that should be everything. Does it sting anywhere?
Not particularly, no.
Alright. Oh, also, I finish up here and get back to Maria soon. Unless you'd rather I drag you there.
Why?
Seriously? It's your damned birthday, that's why.
And?
What do you think, dimwit? She wants to celebrate. Get back there soon, okay? I'm planning to drop mine too. Okay.
Okay.
She gave a sheepish nod, which was honestly kind of cute, but of course I couldn't say that. So I shrugged my shoulders, feigning exasperation, and then turned to leave. Once I might have offered to accompany her back to the brothel, but Morgana never seemed keen on the idea of walking anywhere with me. Maybe she was afraid of grown men after what had happened to her at the Lord's Manor. Maybe she just didn't want me to be seen with someone who looked like her. So, hey, I thought you were leaving. One day, I'll show you the world.
I won't get my hopes up.
Get your hopes up, damn it! I said with a soft chuckle, and then I took my leave. I had every intention of making good on that promise, and I had more than enough reason to believe I could. 3 years back, there was a slave revolt at the Lord's Manor. That's not quite accurate, though, because while I was partly responsible for inciting the riot, I wasn't actually a slave. The local lord was spoken of, in whispers, as the second coming of the great tyrant of old. The people were constantly grumbling about how he seemed to treat the land like his own personal playground, exploiting everything and everyone on it for his own amusement. When enough stress and resentment builds up in a contained space, all it takes is a little shove from the outside to burst. And that was our plan. Me and a number of other dissatisfied citizens gathered together to pop that bubble and give the Lord a taste of how we felt about him. With the help of a slave trader, I infiltrated the Lord's Manor. I'd known slaves weren't treated well, but seeing it for myself, I thought most of these people would have been happier being born as a dog or a cat and owned by somebody who actually had a heart. It was revolting. A flagrant injustice. Broadly speaking, there are two types of people who see injustice in the world. The first are those who have everything, who sit unchallenged at the top of the world, looking down on the less fortunate with pity. The second are those with nothing, who wish to overthrow the entire system, keeping them down. It should come as no surprise that I fell in the second camp. Once I was inside, I went around the manor telling all the slaves about our plan. Most of them had long since lost the will to fight, but with enough assurance that there were people on the outside ready and willing to help, glimmers of hope started to return to their eyes. Finding out they weren't alone, that they weren't helpless anymore, had an incredible effect on their morale. And once the slaves were convinced, the revolt began. It ended up being much larger in scale than I had imagined, and many lost their lives in the process, but the majority of them managed to escape. Naturally, the slaves couldn't stay in the city, so I directed them to people waiting outside who would take them to another city or a neighboring country. I had neither the money nor the power to guarantee them a good life on the outside, but that hardly mattered to them. Everyone was sure that wherever they ended up would be better than staying, and I prayed that would be the case. It was during the revolt that I saved Morgana. I would have sent her off somewhere else, like all the other slaves, but she was in so dire a condition when I found her that she could hardly ever even move on her own. She had been sapped of all her willpower. So I brought her to the brothel where a friend of mine worked, and asked her to take Morgana in. My companions and I reveled in the revolt's success. It wasn't enough of an accomplishment to have any real political implications, but we still felt like heroes. Drunk on victory, we started talking about going bigger, starting a full-on revolution. Once the elation passed, though, we realized there wasn't much more we could do. Even if we did manage to start a large enough uprising to kill the Lord, we were only peasants. Not only did we not know the first thing about ruling, the other counts would never acknowledge our authority anyway. We'd pretend to be in control until the next in line showed up, and that would be the end of it. So we just ended up sitting on our thumbs, no way to do anything about our discontent. Skip forward to about a month before Morgana's birthday. One day, a middle-aged woman approached me. I'd never met her before, but she had wavy hair that reminded me a great deal of my own. Looking me straight in the eye, the woman said, "I was once a maidservant for the Barnier estate. They've done their best to keep it secret, but I had a child with the previous lord. And that child is you." The revelation came completely out of the blue. According to her, I had royal blood, and if we could convince the Lord of that, I would become royalty. Furthermore, she, as my alleged mother, could return to her old life at the manor. The woman urged me to take action, to meet the Lord, reveal my lineage, and reclaim my rightful place at the Barnier house. I would no longer be a poor peasant living in the slums. I would have a comfortable life. I obviously wasn't going to agree on the spot. Her story was so blatantly dubious I needed some time to think on it. If she was telling the truth, though, it could transform our revolution from a dream into a reality. We wouldn't be restricted to inciting inconsequential uprisings. I could seize power legitimately and make some actual change. So, I asked the woman to give me some time to consider. "Have you decided what you're going to give her?" That was the very first thing I heard when I stepped through the back door of the brothel. Maria, a short blonde-haired prostitute and good friend of mine, flashed me a devilish smirk. "I bought a necklace, as per your suggestion. Girls appreciate that sort of thing, don't they?"
Most do. Me, I've got a taste for knives and other such pointy things. I doubt she has much interest in those, though.
Sometimes I wonder if you're actually a girl.
Anyone could see that Maria and I were close, but our relationship was strictly platonic. Of course, given her line of work, it was unavoidable that people would thought otherwise. And honestly, it irritated me every time someone suggested we were anything more than friends. People have this annoying, short-sighted tendency to assume that just because a guy and a girl are friendly, they must be intimate. It didn't matter that she was a girl, I only thought of her as a friend, and as best as I could tell, that's all she thought of me as well. Maria and I first met when we were children. Even at that age, she was already a prostitute, myself a petty thief. We were both incredibly lucky to have survived to adulthood with only ourselves to watch each other's backs. It's possible the only reason either of us maintained the willpower to survive this long was because we had each other to bitch about life to when things got bad. So is today the day? Oh.
Are you finally going to tell her how you feel?
Excuse me? Tell her how I what?
Don't be coy. You know exactly that. What? And it's about time you manned up and told her. I think you've got a better chance than you think.
Do I need to remind you how old she is?
12 as of today. Practically an adult. I was knee-deep in dick at that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I never... I shouldn't be laughing because this is involving a God! I'm sorry, I really shouldn't be laughing. I just wasn't expecting that wording.
You're comparing her to you?
The longer you hold off saying something, the more difficult it becomes.
God, I'm sorry.
Break a leg. Pie's gonna be in the back, so there won't be any customers around to interfere.
Alright. I chewed over what Maria had said as I watched her disappear down the Brothel Raid. That line has basically destroyed my grammar. She wasn't wrong. She wasn't overanalyzing. I did indeed have special feelings for Morgana. Women seem to have this strange, somewhat terrifying ability to read people's minds, and Maria was a prime example of that. I never once so much as suggested to anyone I might think of Morgana, but Maria had somehow managed to pick up on it almost immediately. Fortunately, she didn't seem particularly bothered by the fact, though if anyone else were to find out, I could only imagine the looks I would get. I mean, Morgana was 12 and I was 22. Okay, I know it was a different time. I know it was a completely different time back then. No! Oh, at least he agrees with this. That wasn't normal. I never felt this way about anyone else that young, either. Any other girl Morgana's age just looked like another kid to me. So why was she any different? Because she probably experienced a lot of things that kids should never, ever, 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 ever put up with! She was covered in scars, and every time we met, she would tell me to go to hell, and she refused to walk anywhere with me, and no matter how much the eyesight broke, I could never seem to get all the way through. Why can't you just have like a, I don't know, a big brother, little sister relationship, honestly? No! That is no! Yet still the world felt like it was just a little bit better a place when I was with her. It made me want to see her smile no matter how grotesque her face. How would I even go about saying it? Assuming I actually did. Even if your face isn't healed in 4 years, I'll take you as my lifetime partner, Morgana. God, no, that's terrible. There has to be a better way to put it. Now I was getting stressed out, and it was all thanks to Maria. This was supposed to be a day of celebration, not of fretting over stupid personal matters. Not long after I arrived at the brothel and made my way to the back room, Maria and a handful of other unoccupied girls showed up. Morgana, who was supposed to be the guest of honor, was even more reticent than usual. The prostitutes chatted amongst themselves about work in unabashed graphic detail, trading info on which customers were good and which customers were bad. All the while Morgana looking incredibly uncomfortable. You guys think you could maybe change the subject?
Like we have anything else to talk about. Making the birthday girl want to hide in a corner defeats the whole purpose, don't you think? Oh, no, don't mind me. I don't have anything I want to talk about. Morgana said almost in a whisper, her head downturned. At least eat something then. The cookies are barely sweetened and dry as rocks, but they're edible.
Oh god, that was me saying that.
Jack Akapo, you little bitch! You've got some stones to shit-talk my cookies to my face.
Don't you be dare talking shit-talking those cookies. Stop it, Maria. Stop throwing things at me.
The other girls cackled as Maria and I bickered. Hoping it might have elicited a reaction from Morgana as well, I snuck a glance over at her, but she remained expressionless. You're all right about one thing, though. This is Morgana's day. So let's change the subject.
Oh, god damn it! I can't tell who's talking!
Maria said it with a little laugh, having hurled everything within arm's reach at me. Like I said, I don't have anything to talk about.
Sure you do. You just have to look a little harder. Not saying you have to reminisce for us. It can be anything. Let's see. Here's an idea. Are there any guys you got your eyes on?
I spewed my tea all over the table.
There it is.
And then I started choking.
What? Seriously? Holy shit! Oh my god. Holy shit, who is it? Tell me, who's the lucky guy? God.
Everyone fell silent. Maria gave me a sympathetic look and I knew exactly what she wanted to say.
Sorry, kid, you ain't got nothing on God. Asshole. If you're gonna dream big, right? Yeah. God. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, pining after the all-powerful, all-knowing God. I'm with you.
You bald-faced liar!
The grass may be a hell of a lot greener up there, but it's a bit far, don't you think? You're better off settling off the weeds down here.
Did she just imply I'm a weed? Maria looked over and gave a wide grin at the sight of me grinding my teeth, then continued.
Say, the young man over there.
Wait, stop right there! Don't say another word.
Whoopsie, me and my big mouth. I almost did your job for you.
God damn it, Maria! This is not good. Like hell I was going to let her corner me into saying it here.
I stole a glance at Morgana, but her gaze was locked on her knees. I couldn't see what, if any, kind of reaction she was having.
Morgana, what she was trying to say is that,
I have to go.
What?
I have to go to the bathroom.
Sure.
Morgana got up from her chair and left the room in silence. I imagine I was making a rather flaccid expression, because as soon as Morgana was gone, Maria began cackling like a madwoman. My reply was the nearest object, courtesy of my throwing arm.
Loser! How hard is it just to say it?
It would have been easier if you hadn't cornered me like that.
You think I believe you would have done it without a little nudge?
I would have. Eventually.
Eventually ain't gonna cut it. Now's the right time. And don't worry, me and the girls will make fun of you for getting your rocks off to little girls.
Oh my god! That's not the reason I like her. Besides, I would have at least wait 4 years before.
Doesn't mean you can't tell her now. I think it'd do her wonders, really. She's, well, you know, so I think knowing someone cares about her will lighten the load a bit. When she comes back, give her the necklace and tell her how you feel. And if she turns you down, we can all have a good laugh about it.
Maria and a few other girls chuckled. As uncomfortable as she was making me feel, she had a point. Regardless of whether Morgana reciprocated my feelings or not, there was a good chance that just putting them out there would help break down the walls she had built in her heart. And maybe one day, I would actually be able to see her smile. I'll do it. I'll tell her. It didn't matter if I came out looking like a loser. It didn't matter if Morgana wasn't interested in me in that way. What matters was that she knew someone accepted her, regardless of her appearance or the things she had been through. And if by some chance there really was royal blood flowing through my veins, then I could make good on my promise to show her the world. I could put an end to her life of poverty and abuse, replace it with one of comfort and wealth, and yet here in the future, you locked her up in a tower. I could buy her even better medicine, something that could actually heal her face. If I truly were royalty, I could do so much more for her. Makes it sound like I want to be some kind of fairy tale hero or something. But honestly, I wouldn't have minded that. If I was going to make her happy, to wipe away all her past misfortune, why couldn't I make it a little dramatic? It wasn't usually my style, but in this case I wouldn't have objected to a storybook ending. This, though, no. This wasn't the kind of story I was hoping for. The heavy curtains separating the guest rooms had been torn to shreds. and they were splattered with blood. A man, apparently caught with enough time to defend himself, lay splayed out naked on a bed, his empty eyes fixed on the ceiling. The whole area reeked of blood. All I could do was stare stupefied at the carnage. What the hell? Why? How could this happen? My dumbfounded muttering went unanswered, though. The few who were still alive could no better make sense of the incomprehensible massacre than me. The sudden arbitrary upheaval of our world. The inexplicable, inescapable reality. Shortly after Morgana stepped out, I heard a woman scream from the front of the brothel. Next, a man shouting. At first, I assumed it was one of the customers losing his temper over something, but the tone of the scream seemed somehow off from something like that. It wasn't long before the noise had escalated to alarming levels, so I dashed toward the source of the shouting. A good dozen men, bandits, or maybe thieves, they seemed more organized, had raided the brothel. They slaughtered all the customers, stripping them of any valuables, and they tied up the girls, killing any who resisted. The first thought that rose to my panicked mind was that I needed to find Morgana. I needed to get her out of here no matter what. I couldn't let her birthday turn into a tragedy. She had already been through enough, and I had to make sure she didn't suffer any further. I had to make her life into something good. I searched and I searched, but there was no sign of Morgana anywhere, until suddenly something seemed to crash into me from behind, causing me to stagger. It took me a few seconds for the pain to set in, which is when I looked down to see the tip of a blade sticking out of my gut. Blood streamed along the metal surface, and there were little bits of flesh caught on the edges. I turned around just in time to see the man holding it kick me away. Before I had time to process what was happening, I hit the floor and lost consciousness. If I were a hero, I would have surely eradicated all the violent intruders in the blink of an eye, saving everyone. Protected that which I wanted to protect. Not had to lose anything. But I was a mere boy. A weak boy, helpless against a few robbers. A useless boy, unable to protect anyone. When I woke up, Maria was kneeling over me, sobbing. No sign of her tough, foul-mouthed girl I knew. Aside from her, there were 2 other girls also crying, leaving only 4 survivors. Apparently, I wasn't dead. Looking down, I saw my bare stomach wrapped in blood-soaked bandages. The brothel lay in ruins, a bloody pile of torn bedding, clothes, and bodies. I made my way back to the front, and all I could do was stare stupefied at the carnage. What the hell? Why? How could this happen? My dumbfounded muttering went unanswered, though. Maria stood beside me, quietly rubbing her trembling arms. Where's Morgana? Oh, I'm sorry. Where's Morgana? I couldn't find her. Why not? I'm sorry, I looked everywhere, but I couldn't find her. I'm so sorry. I wanted to say I wasn't blaming her, but I couldn't find the words. If I'd had power, I could have prevented this from happening. What kind of power would I have needed, though? The physical strength to overpower the thieves? No, I needed to think bigger. If I weren't a peasant, someone of real influence and import, no one would dare stand up to me. No petty thieves would ever even consider a raid on me, and I would have the power to punish anyone who tried. But regardless, this would have never happened at all. I was supposed to give Morgana a good life, to show her the world, to make her smile. If only I had the power. Absolute, unflinching power. If I had climbed to the top of the ladder when the chance was offered to me, this all could have been avoided. If only I had asserted my place as royalty a month earlier, as the woman who claimed to be my mother had urged me to. I wanted power. The power to keep everything I cared about safe. The power to change this damned world. The power to stop those filthy thieves. The power to keep her by my side. I wanted power. I heard about the attack on the brothel, and that you were hurt. I'm so glad to see you're well. About a week after the raid, I went to see the woman who professed herself my mother. As you would expect of someone who had served at the old lord's manor, she was very elegant and graceful. The shack where she stayed, though, was a shabby drab place with bare wattle and daub walls. You are concerned about my safety? Of course. Show me a mother who is not always concerned about her child's safety.
I don't know, let's look at Michelle's mother. Says the woman I'd never seen until a month ago.
Physical distance has no bearing on a mother's love, she said with a soft smile.
Age had clearly begun taking its toll on her, but I could see hints of former beauty.
If you had gone to speak with the Lord and revealed your lineage when I first came to see you, you would have never had been in that kind of danger. There is still time. Go to the Lord's manor. Show him.
I'm not really your son, am I? The woman fell silent for a moment, observing me. I could see the resemblance between us, yes, and I had no memories of my mother. It would be nice if she were to show up back up someday, but it just wasn't likely. This whole thing felt extremely contrived.
Discussions will progress much smoother if we both know what the other wants out of this arrangement.
Oh, sorry. Start by telling me who you really are. Were you actually a maidservant of the previous lord? She gave the nod, then walked over to a grimy shelf and retrieved a ring that looked very much out of place. It was made of gold, engraved with an elaborate insignia.
Look at this. It's the Barnier family crest. The previous lord gave me the ring as a gift, and I've kept it ever since, even after our relationship was discovered and I was chased out. I didn't sell it, because I knew I was with child. They will have no choice but to acknowledge you as a legitimate heir if you show them this ring.
Why did you wait so long to come find me then?
I was afraid they might kill you if I brought you in as a baby.
Why were we separated?
Misfortune. One day bandits came and kidnapped you. Presumably they were hired by the Barnier estate because they didn't want your existence coming to light. I consider it a miracle you're still alive.
I can only imagine the stern look on my face as I listened to the woman speak. Part of me did indeed want to take everything she said as true. Wanted to believe I was someone important. But I couldn't convince myself I had anything other than a commoner's blood running through my veins. It would appear you've done your research. I don't have any other family, to the best of my knowledge, which does indeed make me a good candidate for you to step in and claim your stake on. If I were to guess, your child with the Lord has either passed away or never existed at all. It's probably true that you worked at the Barnier's manor, and it's probably true that you had relations with the former Lord. You were chased out, and now you live in poverty. You want to go back to your former, more comfortable life, and while you're at it, take vengeance on the current Lord. But, being a woman, you have no means to accomplish that yourself. So you came up with the idea of using a fake son. If your child was still alive, he would be right about my age, wouldn't he? And we would look similar enough for you to convincingly claim you're related. But the biggest reason you chose me is because I've made something of a name for myself. Because I was one of the people involved in inciting the revolt 3 years ago. The perfect choice to spearhead a revolution. How dramatic. The man who set the Lord's slaves free was secretly his family. The people would eat it right up. So, how far off am I? For some time the woman sat in silence. Eventually she broke it, not by yelling in anger or desperately trying to refute me, but with a smile. I knew very well it lurked behind that smile too. Scorn.
You're sharp for a filthy peasant. It would seem I chose wisely.
I was right. She was a manipulative, conniving shyster. But that I could work with. That fits so much better. I wasn't royalty. I wasn't a hero. I was a filthy peasant. I'm in. The first thing I did after agreeing to work with the woman was not to approach the Lord, but to reveal my false lineage to my accomplices. They all thought I was joking until I showed them the ring. Then, their dreams of revolution started seeming far more realistic. Maria was the one exception. Not only did she not believe me, she tried to stop me from going through with this scheme.
Haven't you had enough danger for one life? Come on, forget about all this revolution stuff. We can build up a new brothel and just stay low for the rest of our days. Does that really sound so bad? You're the only friend I've got left, Jacopo.
She said somewhat desperately. I sympathized with her concerns, but I didn't want to let this chance to gain some real power slip away. I was done having things taken away from me. Hear me, my fellow citizens who live in suffering at the hands of your supposed lord. Within me flows the blood of the previous lord. I am the rightful heir. Behold the Barnier's golden ring. Proof that I am of noble birth. victims of this terrible tyrant. The time has come to start anew, and I shall be the one to lead you down that path. The poor, the hungry, the deprived, all of you stand with me.
My call to arms stoked the flames in the people's hearts. When the assault on the Lord's manor began, they were an inferno of righteous justice. No one was thinking straight. I was about the only one with something resembling a clear head amidst the chaos. If I were really a hero, then I would have rejoiced in that glorious day, that momentous turning point in the city's history. I would have been honored to have had led the charge. But this was all about one woman's avarice and desire for vengeance. This was all about one man's lamentation of his own weakness. I wasn't motivated by any desire to help these people. The Lord, backed into a corner, begged for his life. I decapitated him, then held his severed head up for the people. Damn, dude. Their cheers and shouts filled the air. As I watched them rejoice, I wondered, was this the future that awaited me? Would the people come after me next? Was my head going to be in one of their hands one day? The king and the other counts acknowledged my royalty, though it was less because I had the Barnier's ring and more because they thought this was the best way to prevent things from getting any messier. So with their approval, I formally became the lord of the land. I only assumed the former lord's name because despite his reputation with his people, it was a name people knew, and one that held far more clout than my own. And just like that, my long-time dream of power had come true. That said, simply becoming the lord didn't mean everything had fallen neatly into place. Many of the local noble families accused me of acquiring my rank illegitimately. They waited, fangs bared, for me to slip up. They even tried to set me up on more than one occasion. I couldn't trust anyone. And on top of that, if I took too long making the improvements I had promised the people, they would start saying I was just as much of a tyrant as the previous lord. There was only so much I could do at once, though, especially with my hands so full fending off the vulturous nobles. Exhaustion soon began to set in. This wasn't the world I was looking for, the one I wanted to show Morgana. I just realized this, it might be my imagination, but I think there's more blood popping up on the screen. It was day after day of draining day of betrayal, constantly having to look over my shoulder, fighting to meet unrealistic expectations. I was starting to lose sight of who I was as a person. I couldn't let anyone see me looking weak. They would see it as an opportunity to take advantage of me, to manipulate me, to eliminate me. I needed power to protect myself from those people. Attaining rank was only the first step. I needed even more power. Enough to ensure no one would ever be giving me orders, could ever play me for a fool. I turned my attention first to bolstering the economy. I provided subsidies to merchants in the city. I expanded trade routes. I made it known that people of any skin color, even those not welcome in other territories, were welcome in my land, trying to bring some vitality to the city. Oh, that's a good start. The previous lord had evidently loved to throw parties, squandering away nearly all the tax money on his own entertainment. Well, that guy's a fucking prick. Well, then again, he did torture Morgana, so yeah, point stands, he's a fucking prick. Also, I need a drink. If he had left me more to work with, I would have used it to clean up and repair the slums. But for the time being, that had to remain under another item on the checklist. I needed more money flowing through the city as a whole before I could make any headway on fixing up the poor areas. Helping the people who needed it most quickly became a secondary objective. I had a pretty good idea what my former accomplices still in the slums were saying about me. He used us. I could practically hear them whispering. Some of them even started publicly slandering me in an attempt to undermine my authority, claiming I wasn't suited to be in a position of power because I had spent most of my life in the slums. It wasn't long before they had convinced the people I was just another tyrant. I had hoped that they, if no one else, would have sympathized with my position. Well, dude, you're one guy trying to run an entire fucking country, well, and trying to do it in a respectful way. Realized that I had every intention of helping them, and that I simply didn't have the resources for it yet. But no one saw what I was doing. No one believed me, even when I tried to explain. In one case, I invited an old companion to my manor to discuss matters, but the meeting only turned into an attempt on my life. Having absolutely no one I could trust, no one I could call an ally, hit me a lot harder than I had expected. It twisted my worldview beyond recognition. I had no need for sympathy. I couldn't show care for anyone, otherwise someone would inevitably use it against me, old friends and strangers alike.
In fact, those who knew me best, those who were aware of where I'd come from and what I had been before, were the ones who fought the hardest to tear me down. Rules needed to be created, punishments established. I couldn't allow anyone to take this power from me. Anyone who so much suggested I had come from the slums, anyone who dared disrespected me had to be eliminated. All threats exterminated before they could reach me. Somewhere along the line I had lost sight of my original dream. Lost all my desire to do right by the people I cared about. Hell, I didn't have anyone to do right by anymore. Why did I need to climb up to the top of the ladder? So no one could kill me. Why did I want money? So no one could mock me. Why did I want power? So no one could oppose me. 4 years passed, and I found myself in a very, very distant place. Miracle blood? Sounds like a sham to me.
You never know. They say the sound of her first cry brought rain to Oh!
You never know. They say the sound of her first cry brought rain to the land where she was born, saving the whole village from drought. And they say her blood has the power to cure any disease. One day a curious rumor came to my attention. The kind of whispering I wouldn't usually put much stock into. It was said that there was a witch living in a cottage by the lake. Few had ever seen her face, but they claimed she had the same voice as a girl who had supposedly performed miracles several years earlier in a faraway village. People love their stories of heroes and miracles. And if I could show some support for the churches, then maybe people would stop complaining I was focusing too much on the economy. So I devised a plot to capture the witch and make use of her miracle blood. I would establish a new church, have it be run by a nun in the city, had been fawning over for some time. They call her the Saintess. There, I would take the witch's blood and call it miracle medicine, distributing it in exchange for teeths, which the people would certainly come in for in droves. And if the blood somehow did happen to have special powers, then that would make the scheme that much more effective. I'll worry about the veracity of the rumors later. Right now, all I want is for you to capture her and bring her to me. I was too busy to handle capturing the witch myself, so I went ahead and found someone to handle it for me. He was a former slave who had, several years back, massacred an entire carriage of slaves and the slave traders transporting them. Obviously, not an upstanding citizen, but there was little doubt he would have any trouble apprehending a single witch. The biggest reason I chose him, though, was because he was enamored with the nun. I honestly thought it was rather hilarious. A murderer falling in love with a nun? I'd expected the man to object, but he agreed almost without hesitation. There was a mansion on the outskirts of the city, which the previous lord had built for himself and had gone unused since his death. It was there I decided to keep the witch, and it was there I decided to establish the church. The nun would have ample space there to provide temporary shelter to the sick and needy. I thought, with what little remained of my conscience, that I was doing the right thing. If one witch, probably an old woman at that, was all it cost to accomplish such good, then a worthless sacrifice it was. My god. I made that sound even worse. In an ideal world, it wouldn't matter, young or old. A human being was an unacceptable price for anything. But this was far from an ideal world, so I decided that taking what little remained of this woman's life was the best. No, the only acceptable course of action, so he didn't even know. She would probably despise me for it. Oh my god, she does! But I would gladly accept her hatred in exchange for the benefits her blood would bring the city. It's our responsibility to offer a helping hand to the sick and the poor, to pray for the abandoned souls. Morgana's words from years back popped into my head. I believe that, as aggressive, self-centered, and utterly lacking compassion as my methods may have been, I was following that mantra. I was offering a helping hand to people who needed it in the only way I knew how. I wasn't so dense as to think she would approve of me making an old woman pay the price for my charity, though. Doing this made me no better than a thug. But everything has a price. For every extravagant feast held, a dozen people go the night without food. That's simply the way of the world. God, even Jacopo has his reasons! I was no god. I was no saint. I had blood on my hands. I was a villain. I knew no way to accomplish good, without doing bad. After the swordsman departed, I took some time to myself. I filled a goblet with water, smelled it, then gave it a bit of it to my pet dog before gulping down the rest of it. Are you still out there somewhere, Morgana? What would you think of me if you saw what I had become? Several days later than originally planned, the swordsman finally arrived at the mansion. I had chosen the observation tower on the grounds for the witch's prison, and it was there I waited for him.
He showed up with a burlap sack swung over his shoulder, setting it down on the ground, saying,
"There's your witch."
I can only hear muffled grunting from inside the sack, but it didn't sound like an old woman inside. The man's clothes and the bag both reeked of blood.
Tell me you didn't harm her, dog. I smell blood.
You only instructed me not to kill her. Mistakes were made. Limbs were lost. I cleaned up all the blood I got on me. No one suspected anything. That you were able to immediately recognize it as the smell of blood says quite a bit, Lord. You have been killed before, haven't you?
Enough yapping. She is alive, yes?
Of course.
I felt a tinge of guilt for the woman, but it didn't last long. Her role in my scheme and the fate that awaited her was the same regardless of the condition she arrived in. I tossed my gaze from the man to the bag. He crouched down to untie it, revealing a young girl with one arm severed. As soon as I saw her, I knew exactly who the girl was. But why? What was she doing in the bag? Why was she the lakeside witch? What was she doing here? Why was she so pale and shaking? Why had I ordered her captured? How could I have done that? How could I have let this happen to her? Morgana. My voice was hoarse and rattling. She looked up at me, her face just as disfigured and hideous as it had been 4 years before. My mind flashed back to her birthday, to when I had considered offering to take her as my lifetime partner if her face hadn't healed in 4 years' time. Is that you? Oh. Her question yanked me out of my memories. You remember me? Did Morgana remember me? The 3 years we had spent together. What kind of person had I had been? The boy who had refused to give up putting ointment on her face. Those horribly unromantic encounters at the graveyard. Her taking shots at me, me taking shots at her. All that time we had shared. How could I ever forget? Morgana. She remembered me?
How could I ever forget all the pain and humiliation you put me through? How could I ever forget the blood sabbath you so loved to hold?
What? What was she talking about?
Haven't had enough, have you? Leaving scars on every inch of my body wasn't enough for you? You haven't had your fill of my blood?
No, that wasn't me. I was the one who had tried to heal those wounds.
You're the man who bound me, cut me up, called me a witch, and then tried to kill me. I haven't forgotten you even for a moment.
No, Morgana. I was the man who rescued you from him.
I don't care how much my father preaches forgiveness. That's the one thing you'll never get from me. I despise you with all my soul. I revile you with every fiber of my being. For every scar you gave me, I give you a lifetime of hatred.
No, Morgana!
I was not aware you knew... Oh, sorry.
I was not aware you knew the Witch Lord.
His voice made my blood run cold. I didn't just know her. Morgana was.
This man, the Lord, he destroyed me, mind and body.
No, that was another man. He was already dead. I'd just taken his place. I had come from the slums. I'd been part of the Slave Revolt. I knew I had to tell her.
He ruined my life.
But between the sting of Morgana's accusations and my need to protect my current position, I couldn't muster the strength to do it. If someone were to find out I wasn't legitimate royalty, that I had come from the slums, then everything I'd worked so hard to build up for who though, would come crumbling down.
Do I really think it hasn't already?
All I had left was my power, my rank.
Is that what I actually wanted?
I couldn't afford to lose that too.
When did I first start straying from the path? Yes, I know her, or I knew her years ago.
I see. What do you want to do then, Lord? You look sick.
This doesn't change anything. We lock the witch up and proceed as planned.
Why couldn't I tell her the truth? How? How could I keep her imprisoned? What had I wanted power for in the first place? Would anyone ever believe me if I said this wasn't how I wanted things to turn out? Would anyone ever believe me? Before me floats a man twisted and writhing in pain, although whether what I'm looking at could be said to resemble a human is a difficult question. It's a hazy, indistinct shape, on the precipice of being consumed by darkness everlasting. I knew very well what I'm looking at. The moment is before a man's soul shatters. Did I do the same thing to him? That's more— oh! This is— okay, this is Michelle.
That Morgana did to me. Was it I who summoned the darkness? Who laid his past bare? Who forced him to relive those events? To experience once more everything he felt, everything he thought? Who put him through that despair a second time? I can only imagine how he must have felt, causing someone he once cared for so much pain. Things he did are abhorrent, more than deserving of reproach, and it would be undoubtedly be easier for him to simply vanish into the eternal abyss. But I can't allow that to happen. He still has work to do. His story is essential. It's almost certain Morgana still doesn't know who he really is. He needs to face her, to reveal the truth with his own words. That's the only way we're going to get her to have a change of heart. That's not all he has to say to her, either. So I must bring him back, pull him out of the darkness. I grab the man by the arm and begin scouring the blackness for an exit. After some time, I see a speck glistening high above, so I make my way upwards, back into the harsh light of the real world.
Damn. This is some fucking good storytelling.
The darkness parts and we re-emerge in the dining hall.
But that's where I actually do have to end it. Time. The slave. Okay. Looks like in the next episode we might be able to get... Wait, how many save spots do I fucking have in this? Holy shit. I had no idea I had that many save spots. Oh, I've been listening to this theme. I'm sorry that's where I'm gonna have to end it this week. I know it's gonna be a week before I get back into this, but... Holy crap. Okay. Now I understand Jacopo. Holy fuck! This is good. I mean, oh, for fuck's sake, this is a... I keep gushing about how good this novel is, but oh my goodness. Holy crap, this is so good. Okay. I need to stop. Okay. So Jacopo was the slave. I'm sorry, 22 years old. I know it was a different time back then, but still kind of creepy. Very creepy. Ugh. I'm sorry. It's a story. It's a story. But, good God. So now I know Jacopo's side, that he was trying to hide this whole time, but I wonder why the darkness seemed to respond. Like, as soon as that necklace popped up, that's when the darkness came out and forced Jacopo's tail to be shown. I wonder, why is that? Is it because they're in the mansion, possibly? Or did it really respond to Michelle's desires? And in which case, if that was the case, why is the house responding to Michelle's desire to help him out? Does the house have a mind of its own? Or is perhaps Morgana subconsciously wanting to have help, or be helped? I wonder. But anyway, that's where I'm going to end it. So if you guys like this, be sure to let me know.
Oh my god, this novel is so good. So anyway, oh my god, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.